The Rise and Fall of Stephen Colbert, A Never-Trump Republican's Journey. David Marcus. The fall of Stephen Colbert's character marks another chapter in the saga of never-Trump Republicans. Last week, CBS's decision to cancel The Late Show with Stephen Colbert sent shockwaves through the media world. To truly grasp the trajectory of Colbert's career, one must revisit his origins as a faux Republican. Colbert gained prominence through Comedy Central's The Daily Show in the early 2000s, which eventually led to his own satirical news program, The Colbert Report, debuting in 2005. For nearly 10 years, he portrayed a conservative commentator, albeit in a comedic light. The persona he crafted was reminiscent of a Ron Burgundy-style conservative fool, or as Colbert himself described it, a well-intentioned, poorly informed, high-status idiot. This act has been his identity for 2 decades. In essence, Stephen Colbert has embodied a pre-Trump Republican archetype, akin to figures like Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan, who have transitioned from being scorned to being nostalgically viewed by the left. During a recent interview with Rachel Maddow, Colbert highlighted reports suggesting that CBS News president wanted the network to downplay negative stories about Trump. Many of us can recall a time when former President George W. Bush was labeled a war criminal by liberals with calls for his imprisonment. Yet, in the current political climate, there seems to be an unexpected resurgence of respect for Bush, particularly in the context of Trump. Colbert's portrayal was that of a lovable, albeit naive, loser, representing the Republican identity before Trump's controversial rise. This was a Republican who, in hindsight, appeared greedy and somewhat foolish, but not a direct threat to democracy. In September 2015, just over a year before Trump's unexpected victory over Hillary Clinton, Colbert took over the prestigious The Late Show from David Letterman. The question remained, which version of Colbert would we see? The authentic individual or the character he had created? Unlike the original host of The Tonight Show, Johnny Carson, who avoided alienating audiences with political rhetoric and focused on humor, Colbert found himself in a different landscape. Shortly after Colbert assumed the role at The Late Show, the term Never Trump began to gain traction. This movement saw certain Republicans, whose identities became intertwined with opposing Trump, emerge prominently. Colbert's character fit neatly into this narrative. Interestingly, despite having only feigned conservatism for a decade by 2015, Colbert's critiques of Trump carried a certain weight, similar to that of former Republican officials who have voiced their opposition on networks like CNN and MSNBC during Trump's presidency. For the past 10 years, Colbert has oscillated between ludicrous musical performances encouraging his audience to trust the experts on various issues, from vaccines to election integrity, and delivering serious monologues critiquing Trump while donning his signature thick-rimmed glasses. However, much like the never-Trump commentators, Colbert's late-night persona has grown stale and increasingly irrelevant. The Republican identity he has long pretended to embody simply no longer exists. As news of Colbert's cancellation circulated, predictable reactions from the left emerged, warning of government censorship and authoritarianism. Such claims are, frankly, absurd. If these critics are to be believed, and CBS capitulated to Trump to facilitate their parent company Paramount's merger with Skydance, one would expect a competing network to eagerly pick up Colbert, as that is how entertainment value operates. The crux of the issue for Colbert is that the foundation of his character, and indeed his career, has crumbled much like the careers of many who dedicated themselves to opposing Donald Trump. Colbert's caricature of a middle-management white male, who desires low taxes and traditional family values while being portrayed as ignorant, does not reflect any real individual. It is merely a creation of elite, urban, progressive anxieties. Johnny Carson, another iconic late-night host, once humorously remarked about the legendary insult comic Don Rickles, saying, "Don is a great comedian. I love his joke." Unfortunately, while Carson was joking, this reflects the reality of Colbert's situation. He has relied on a singular joke, and that joke has lost its humor. Thus, we bid farewell to The Late Show and the Never Trump movement, 2 entities that have been overshadowed by the relentless march of time and the influence of Donald J. Trump. The tragic exit of Stephen Colbert. CBS cancels The Late Show. The tragedy of ending Stephen Colbert's The Late Show is not merely an economic decision but a cultural reckoning. CBS's acquisition of its talk show king, Stephen Colbert, has sparked debates about the evolving nature of television. In 2014, after hiring him for his comedy network, The Colbert Report, CBS transformed his iconic Manhattan venue into the heart of The Late Show, reviving its long-standing format while retaining his creative control. But what if the show's success was tied to its legacy rather than its revenue? 10 years later, CBS announced the program's final season, May 2026, and its complete retirement, citing only financial concerns. However, this move has ignited speculation about the network's growing dissatisfaction with the late-night genre. Despite the cancellation, Colbert's influence endures, proving that even a once-revered figure can redefine their craft. As viewers increasingly stream content, the idea of a live show fading into obscurity becomes more plausible. Yet, the question remains, what happens when a once majestic franchise disappears? The Late Show, built on decades of tradition and creativity, now faces the challenge of finding new relevance.